Sigma are releasing a brand new eyeshadow palette called the Spectrum palette, and I have it in front of me. They very kindly sent it to me, so I'm excited to dive into this today, show it to you and see what looks we can come up with, because this is a very neutral palette and there is definitely a time and a place for neutral eyeshadow. Believe it or not, as much as I love colour, I'm not constantly walking around with a bright green cut crease on. Although I do love that, I do also love a neutral palette, which is one of the reasons that I do like Sigma. Now Sigma do have a lot of colourful palettes in their range, but this one is a particularly neutral one. So we're going to dive into it today. I'm going to show you, look at the gorgeous box that arrived, and it does have two brushes with it that they recommend to use with the palette, and I absolutely love Sigma brushes as well. It's always fantastic quality, so let's dive into this. This palette will be available from the 13th of May over on the Sigma website, and I do have a code to save you some pennies in case you want to pick anything up, and that code is affiliated. So let's look at the inside of this palette, and as you can see, very, very neutral. If you are a neutral lover and you like good quality eyeshadow and you like Sigma, this one could be for you. I'm happy that I can see a lot of depth in here. I can see some super light shades and some midtones, and we do have a variety of different shimmers on the bottom row. So this palette is going to retail for $65, but like I say, you can use my code to save yourself some pennies over there. And then the two brushes that they sent with it are the E54, which is a medium sweeper. This is the perfect type of brush for me to start out an eye look in the outer corner, because I can pack on because it's flat and pinched, but also it's got a fluffy tip so I can still blend out. So I'll be starting with that brush. The other brush is the E35 tapered blending brush, which is a bit more of a bigger, fluffier type of brush. Perfect for fluffing out those edges seamlessly. So looking at the card that comes with the palette, it says your neutral moment is here. Get every nude shade you can imagine with this stunning spectrum of 20 wearable matte shimmer and metallic hues. From rich earth tones and soft beiges to glittering golds and deep browns, this timeless palette will never go out of style, making it perfect for every occasion and skin tone. And I think that's pretty spot on, to be quite honest, because you can't go wrong with a palette that's neutral like this. Now, it's not fully just brown. There are different undertones to the browns. Like this one is leaning a little bit of a murky green. We have more pinky leaning ones, a bit more of a plummy leaning, and then your beige neutrally leaning ones as well. And again, the shimmer options, I like the fact that we've got a lighter shimmer, we do have a deeper shimmer, and different leaning tones, more bronzy, pinky, goldy. Let's dive into the close-ups and swatches. Okay, now that I've zoomed you in, I am going to use my Sigma Eyeshadow Primer, and this is in Persuade, I believe. Is it in Persuade? It is indeed in Persuade. I've been really enjoying this eyeshadow primer. I think it would be fantastic for anyone with really oily lids that shadows usually break up on. This will maybe not fully stop that, but at least help to minimise it. I've just got some lip oil on currently. I haven't actually picked what lipstick or lip gloss I want to use, so we'll see what the eye look turns out like first before we pick a lip. Like I said, there's a time and a place for neutral eyeshadow, and I do like to reach into my Sigma palettes when it comes to something that I want to do that's just quick and easy, a neutral look that just looks effortless. So I feel like this palette would encapsulate that beautifully as well. It's not always appropriate in every situation to have a fully rainbow cut crease. I mean, some might argue, but so when it does come to neutrals, especially when I'm filming, what I like to do is be quite dramatic with the neutrals that I'm using. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but this channel is very dramatic usually with the colour choices, the shapes, the placement, all of that stuff, so I still like to keep it dramatic. And the fact that we've got such a range of different matte tones in this palette makes me very happy, because I can still make sure that it's going to be as dramatic as I like, as well as while being neutral. So I think Sand Dollar, which is the lightest matte, is probably going to be going in my inner corner, and I want to use one of the deeper mattes over here for the outer corner. And then because you've got that different depth of colour, that will create the drama. And like I say, there's definitely different leaning colourways in this palette. Like this row here is the more pinky row, then you've got more of a mustardy, yellowy, greeny row, then more of a neutral brown row, then more of a leaning plummy, this sort of double espresso shade, and then a deeper row. So you could actually even stick to each column if you wanted to with a shimmer at the bottom. That could definitely be a thing. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to jump all over the palette. Okay, the shade I think I want to start with is Buttered Waffles. What a name. What a name. I could do with some buttered waffles right now. But I want to go for this one because it's got more of a sort of a murky, yellowy brown sort of undertone to it. So I'm going to use that E54 brush because, like I say, that is the perfect type of brush to begin with in my opinion, and I'm just going to tap off and start to press this in the outer corner. Now I will deepen up this outer corner further. I just wanted to start out with this shade because then we can see how buildable it is when I deepen it up later. But straight out of the gate, I mean, look at the pigment. And I am just going to take a smaller brush and just connect that up to the lower lash line. My goal when it comes to neutral palettes is not to be super technical and create something like I would with a colourful palette. It's more about, for me, being effortless and just looking, what's the word? Like no sharp edges, just seamless, blended, effortless. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to take that first brush and just start to wiggle on the edges of this shade to diffuse it slightly. I've got a cat hair on that already. And of course, if I wanted to make it really, really dramatic, I'd take this up higher, out wider and bigger. But of course, the lower down and the further in that you keep the shadows, the less dramatic it will be. This is a good brush. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less. I do love the Sigma brushes. They are fantastic quality, but that shadow is already blending out really nicely. Okay, then I think I'm going to use the Tapered Blending E35 brush and go into the shade Coriander, which is like the second lightest shade in the palette. Like some people would have started with the lightest shade and put that through the crease and then built it up, but I don't typically like to do that because I don't ever set my eyeshadow primer with like a bone coloured matte type of thing. I like to go in with the pigment that I'm going to be using, just so then it is full opacity and it's exactly the same shade it is that it's in the pan. Oh, this is already looking effortless. I should really plan to go out somewhere today. Then when I've done that, I do always like to go back in with the first shade just to make sure I didn't lose any of that pigment, and then it will blend nicely into that blending out shade we used. There is a lot of back and forth, and I don't always film all of the blending and back and forth because otherwise it could be a super duper long video. But just know that that is what I am doing when I blend shades together. There is definitely blending time that I do have to edit out, otherwise we'd be here all day. Oh, but that took no time at all. I really am happy with that. Okay, then I'm going to jump into Sand Dollar, which is definitely the lightest matte in the palette, and I want to press that into my inner corner. I do love a matte inner corner, especially when I get a shade that is as light and bright as that. And I do literally just press it on to get maximum pigment and then very gently blend on the edge. And because we want maximum contrast, which is going to create the drama in this look, I need to go in with one of the deeper shades, and I don't really know which one I want to go for. Maybe I'll go for Cornucopia, which is this one, and we'll see if I want to go even deeper than that. Okay, there was a bit of kick up in the pan with that shade, but I haven't really had any issues with fallout on my face. I have remembered to tap off my brush though. I feel like maybe we need to go even deeper than this. Okay, maximum drama, I'm going to go in with Peppercorn. Again, there was a bit of kick up in the pan, but that doesn't really bother me because as long as the shade performs on the eye, that's what I'm bothered about. I may have gone a bit crazy with the shade already. Yeah. We've got some depth out there, let's just say that. Let's go back over with a bit of the original buttered waffles, shall we? Buttered waffles fix everything. And of course, you could keep this a fully matte look, and that would look beautiful if I'd have taken those matte shades onto the lid, but I definitely wanted to use some of the shimmers today because they do look beautiful. So we do have June being the lightest, which I feel like would be perfect to go near that inner corner matte, but then what are we pairing it with? We have Tiger's Eye, which is a gorgeous goldy shade, Spiced Peaches, oh that is absolutely beautiful. Honeysuckle and Clairvoyant, which this palette has been curated so that any of these shimmers would work with any of these mattes, and I feel like no matter what I chose, it would look stunning. So I picked up June, which is the lightest of the shimmers, and I'm gonna spritz it and I'm gonna place it, like I say, toward the inner part of the lid. I definitely think I'm going to get some use out of this palette though, just doing fully matte looks, because I do love a fully matte look, especially when it's a neutral. So just blending that into the matte so there isn't a sharp line. Then I think I want to go into Spiced Peaches. There's just something about that shade. Should I just put it on with my finger and put it in the middle? I feel like these shimmers as well can be very subtle if you put a little bit on, or they can be more impactful and intense the more that you build them up. And then I'm just going to go over the very edge of Spiced Peaches with the mattes just to make sure it's blending nicely. But I feel like I could put a little bit of shimmer onto the lower lash line as well. I put a little bit of that June shade, just give it a little spritz. I really sprayed everything apart from the brush then. And just add a little bit just to the inner part of the lower lash line. I seem to have put some on my nose too. There's a little bit of highlight. I'm going to jump off, finish up this look, and then come back and we'll see what it looks like and we'll discuss the palette and the brushes. I do love me a dramatic look, even if it's a neutral one, and I feel like I got the drama that I needed with this look because it feels very exaggerated, pulled out. I've got a lot of depth in my outer corner, a lot of light in my inner corner, and that contrast is what makes me very happy. All of the quality of everything that I use from Sigma, to be honest, I don't think there's anything that I've tried from Sigma that I don't like. That is a rare thing when it comes to me and testing full brand. But like I say, from lip products to cheek products to eyeshadow palettes to brushes, everything just feels really good quality, and this eyeshadow palette is no different. I feel like you can lean more dramatic, like the types of looks that I like to do, but also at the same time, if you want something a bit more subtle, a little bit more wearable for a lot of people, and a little bit just one shade in the crease and a shimmer on the lid, then this would be the perfect palette for that. It does have a beautiful mirror, and I feel like it is a really nice neutral palette, especially with the different undertones of the shades that are included. Again, from really light to really dark, and you do have the 5 different shimmer options. If you like Sigma's quality, or you're looking for a new neutral eyeshadow palette that can just be your go-to, then I don't think you could go wrong with this one. I would definitely recommend it if that is what you are after. It's a really nice slim palette and it's very lightweight, so it's really good for travel. Do people already have a lot of these shades in their collection? More than likely, but does that stop me continually buying more and more eyeshadow palettes? Well, no, not really. And when it comes to Sigma and the eyeshadow palettes, the matte formula for me is always absolutely fantastic. That is the thing that draws me in every time. Like, the shimmers can be beautiful, and I feel like they have improved their shimmer formula over time, but these shimmers in this palette, as beautiful as they are, they're not up there with some of the indie brand shimmers that I have tried. I think these are a little bit more safe. I think more people will like these because they can be picked up on a brush. They do look super nice and pretty on the lid, but they're not an insane amount of reflectiveness and sparkle, if you know what I mean. I feel like they're a good solid shimmer that looks really pretty. But like I say, when it comes to the mattes, they're just pigmented, rich, buttery, It's just everything that I like when it comes to blending my eyeshadows. And for me, mattes are more important to me in a palette than shimmers. I know not everybody feels that way. That is just my personal preference. And I do like a more matte heavy palette because I feel like I can go lots more different ways when that is the case. I do want to use this palette some more, and I do want to do a full-on deep, dark, smoky look with some of the deeper shades. And I want to do a more light, wearable type of look for sort of summertime. Would be really cute, maybe with just one shimmer on the lid. So hopefully I'll be posting those over on my Instagram, which will be linked down below. Of course, all of the details for this launch will be in the description box, where you can get it from on the Sigma website, my discount code, the price, all of that stuff will be down there for you. As usual, the Sigma eyeshadow brushes are fantastic quality. What else can I say? If you've tried them, then you know. And I probably do actually wear more neutrals off camera than people realise that I do. I'm not some sort of secret neutral lover, I promise, but there are a lot of situations where I just think, do you know what, a nice neutral eye, even with a bold lip. One of the reasons that I feel like I think that Sigma is more quality feeling and sort of luxury to me is the attention to detail as well. Not only does the palette have really nice packaging, as do they all, and they usually come with really good brushes if it's the long thin palettes. On the back of this palette, like even the shades, the way that they've put the shades so that you can see exactly what's in the palette, like that is a nice little touch to put on the back of there. And of course, if you're not planning to pick anything up, hopefully this just gave you some eyeshadow inspo for neutral slash leaning dramatic looks. Thank you so much to Sigma for sending me the palette and the brushes. It still blows my mind that a brand like that would recognise my little small channel over here on the tube of you. But of course, as always, regardless of whether I am sent something or whether I bought it myself, I will always give you my honest opinion. Thank you so much for checking out my video, guys, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye!